If you're here, odds are that you have read The Sea Change by Ernest Hemingway, and I think the odds are you are probably thinking something to the effect of this is an Ernest Hemingway story, which is a Timu version of an Ernest Hemingway story. And guys, you're not wrong. Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Fort, and we're here for another short story discussion. I've done poetry for so many days in a row, I almost said poetry. A short story discussion, which will appear in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one being the short story discussion playlist, and number two being the short story by short story read-along series for the Finca Vigia edition by Ernest Hemingway. The short story in question today is known as The Sea Change. This video will have three separate sections: a So What Happened recap, a literary criticism section, and finally, a writer's corner where we talk about some of the writerly things that we can take from this short story by Ernest Hemingway. So, what happened? Well, much like hills, like white elephants, we have a couple arguing in a bar and refusing to say what they're arguing about. It is Phil and the woman. The woman wants to go, and the man is angry about it. He says he'll kill her. Not the woman, but some other, not his woman, not this woman, not the woman, but some other woman is the one that he will kill. She says no. He agrees, but if it were a man, Phil would kill him. He would be angry. She says she wouldn't do that to him. It turns out she cheated on him. That, it seems, is what this whole hullabaloo is about. She cheated on him with a woman. He seems to get over it a little bit, and she tells him she'll come back. So he calls her a pervert, and she doesn't like that. And he tells her to go on. So she leaves, and he pays their tabs. And when he catches sight of himself in the window, his reflection in the window, he thinks he looks like a different man. But the barman tells him he looks good. So, what are we doing in this short story? I think that there is some commentary being offered on gender here. I think that this is Ernest Hemingway looking to make a point about. So, look, if there is a difference in being cheated on by your significant other, and if that significant other cheats with someone of the same gender or someone of the opposite gender, then really, what is it that you're getting mad about? If it is worse, if your significant other cheats with you're a man, and it's worse that your significant other cheats with another man, it is that you think you are being replaced. If she cheats with another woman, the insinuation there is that you were being supplemented. So in both scenarios, the commentary seems to be that you, the one you were cheated on, you're not enough. But it's different being replaced from being supplemented. Basically meaning that a woman can bring something to that you probably can't be expected to bring to the situation, whatever that is. She is also in this situation worried about feelings. I guess kind of they're both worried about feelings, but it's interesting because she keeps trying to convince him it's going to be okay. You shouldn't be worried. You should be okay. He is trying to convince her that he's not okay and that she shouldn't be doing this, and then convince her that she is some type of prevert. Now, why would he be doing that if ultimately he goes and lets her be with that other woman? Why would he do that? It's just so that she feels bad too. It's a very interesting little sort of tissy here between the two of them. But she wants him to feel okay. She wants to have her affair, so she wants to feel good too. The men in the story are different. So obviously, he doesn't want her to feel good. He wants her to feel bad. Understandable, he's been cheated on, I get it. But that's not the only male voice that we have in the short story. We have the barman and James or the barman and clients having a conversation. "You're looking very well yourself," the barman said. "Old James," the other client said. "You're fatter, James." "It's terrible," the barman said, "the way I put it on." "Don't neglect to insert the brandy, James," the first client said. "No, sir," said the barman. "Trust me." So the men in the story are either really trying to make another person feel bad, as Phil is, or this other client and the barman, they're just busting each other's chops. So there is something to be made of that as well. Now, Phil knows he's going to let her go. He still wants to have that control over her and make her feel bad. So it is interesting there. Is this Hemingway casting women, as free spirits and men as moral arbiters? Is that the argument being made here? After all, we have Phil reciting, "Vice is a monster of such fearful mien," the young man said bitterly, "that to be something or other needs to be seen, then we something then embrace." He could not remember the words. "I can't quote," he said. And then later on, so he's chastising her about vice. And then later, when he's talking to the barman, "Vice," said the young brown man, "is a very strange thing, James." He looked out the door. So he is constantly going on about moral virtue and vice and all these things, and she just wants to feel good. So is that the argument being made there that women are carefree spirits and wild and free, and men have to exert control over the situation? Now that quote there, "Vice is a monster of such fearful mien," that has to be something or other, but needs to be seen. Then we something then embrace. This comes from an Alexander Pope poem, and the real quote is as such: "Vice is a monster of so frightful mien, as to be hated needs to be seen, yet seen too oft familiar with her face. We first endure, then pity, then embrace." We have to ask here, at the end, is Phil embracing her vice? Phil is allowing her to go, quote unquote, allowing. But I think, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I missed it, but the understanding is at the end, she comes back to him. So is he embracing her vice? And is that a vice of his own? The third talking point here for the literary criticism section is not something to write a paper about. It's just criticism. This affair happened, okay? And we're in the aftermath of that revelation, of that discovery. In fact, we're not just in the aftermath of the revelation / discovery of the affair. Where we are is her trying to get her way and her trying to get one over on old Phil. So we are 2 conversations into this? Did this revelation just happen? Did this revelation just happen at this bar? Or did they schedule a fight at the bar? Hey, we got to talk over this affair thing. Meet me at the bar. So I don't understand the setting for this, but also, she basically gets permission and goes, as if she were getting a permission slip signed. Is she going on a field trip with this woman? Or is she just going over there to have another dalliance? Like, what is going on in this short story? I don't really understand it. So in Hills Like White Elephants, you understand that that couple is probably going to try to get the procedure done. That's where they're headed. They are on a vacation, a getaway. Perhaps they themselves are expatriates. We don't really understand that part of it. But we know that conversation is heated, and that conversation is taking place now, because she has found out, and he knows something's got to give, right? They have limited time. So I don't understand the setting for this. I don't understand the when. So I don't understand the where for this. I don't understand the when for this. We never really get the who for this. Who, where, the what we only tangentially understand. Who, what, where, when, and the why. The what and the why are so commingled in this as to sort of make them one. And I just think that this is not the best attempt from Hemingway. So that is a criticism, but not a literary criticism. Also, is this... I think you would, if you were to Google this short story and find summaries, probably they would mention in medias res, right? In the middle of things. We start in the middle of things with this short story. I don't know that we do. I think that this is so manufactured as to make in the middle of things basically a meaningless term. Because we're not... What part of it are we in the middle of? The beginning part with the fight, with the flare-up, is so long and drawn out, but it's long and drawn out after they have an understanding of what it is they're talking. And we'll get back to that later. But this I thought was interesting, and I couldn't find any commentary on it. And unfortunately, I have not read the play in question, so I will present it as I understand. The term sea change is apparently an idiom introduced to the English language. So I looked up sea change because I wanted to make sure that there wasn't some nautical sort of term that I didn't understand and that maybe played in here someplace, right? But it turns out, this is the third day in a row there's been tornado sirens. But it turns out that sea change is an idiom which comes to the English language from The Tempest, The Tempest by Shakespeare, which I have not read. So I kind of looked it up and got a bit of a summary of what The Tempest is about. What are some of the themes in that play? And from what I understand, again, having not read it, so perhaps I am wrong at this, Prospero is one of the main characters, and in this, his main thematic struggles through the play are struggles with power, as we see Phil struggle with, and then struggles with forgiveness, as we see Phil struggle with. But one interesting reason why I think that might actually be where this comes from is, so that would be a loose tangential sort of connection, right? I think we can agree on that, especially because I haven't read The Tempest, so maybe I am wrong completely on that front. But if that is what The Tempest is about, if I had a good summary there, this is interesting because here is a very famous, well, very famous in Hemingwayan circles, quote from Hemingway. All modern American literature comes from one book by Mark Twain called Huckleberry Finn. All you have to do is write one true sentence. Write the truest sentence you know. As for the rest, all good books are alike in that they are truer than if they had really happened. And all modern novels are derived from Huckleberry Finn, except those that are derived from Shakespeare. And all modern titles come from Shakespeare. So there's that. Um, Now on to the writer's corner portion of this video. What can we take from this video for as writers ourselves? Look, I get it. There is a mystique to Hemingway dialogue. By this point in his career, probably he knew that. Probably he'd been praised for that. Probably he was kind of full of himself, as Hemingway was one to be. But come on. Come on. The beginning of this short story is such a slow reveal that it's basically a no reveal. And that can be rough. Him rides the line here between something which is interesting and intriguing because we don't have all the details, and something that feels like someone writing a ripoff of Hills Like White Elephants because we don't have any of the details. And then the last thing that I have to talk about here is that one of the things that we can learn from Hemingway for sure is that he was so good at point of view forcing emotion. So the emotional part of this story is driven by the characters' points of view. One difference in their point of view, she thinks that because she cheated on him with another woman, it's not as bad. He insinuates at one point that that makes it worse. And I don't know that so I don't think he means it in the actual character in the short story. I don't think he means that because he let her go under the pretense that he would take her back. Do you believe that he would take her back had she been with another man? Had she cheated, maybe. You take her back after that. But I don't think you would loan her out for another dalliance with another man. So the point of view there, I think they actually agree. But he is doing his best to convince her that he does not. Why? Because it plays into his hand. Because he wants her to hurt the way that she hurt him. So it's just very interesting. So Hemingway's very good at letting the reader in on a character's point of view so that we can read the differences between what it is that they think and what it is that they do. And just a really interesting dynamic. And if you can work that into your own writing, it makes for fun reading, right? Because some readers are not critical enough to get it. So they get a whole different perspective on that story than the readers who are critical enough to read that into the characters. So different interpretations for different people, layered readings, etc. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers if you find yourself here by chance. But not design. Literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.